Hey guys, thanks for watching. On Instagram, at @BB_golf show, I put out a request for questions for Tony that came through with some questions as we're here in Las Vegas doing the Power School just finished. So we'll just go straight through it, huh, Tony?
Let's
do it. Okay.
These are probably gonna be pretty tough.
They start easy, they get tougher, I guess. The first question is, with this right arm throwing intention, a lot of times you see people like if I was gonna throw somewhere, I might get kind of really kind of snap it out, and it gets kind of like soupy and the width gets narrow. Does width give us speed? We see a lot of big hitters that are like that, you know, to start. What is the connection to width and then using where the power comes from like this? You know?
Well, if we can get that radius a little bit bigger, and it's a relative number because it's based on your range of motion capabilities too. So, you know, there's a couple things. There obviously would be no width. I couldn't throw a ball very far from in here. Yeah. That would be maximum width. And notice, you know, this is really why we can create the width with the right arm, is because this shoulder joint's back.
Oh, rather like taking the right arm and creating width rather than like stiffing the left arm and.
Exactly. So if you take a look, I mean, there's no width.
Yeah, that's a totally straight left arm, but still no width.
Right. So now from here, now I create the width.
You have a little bit of a bend left arm, but pretty good width. Okay.
Right. And obviously then there's upper body rotation with that, but that's what ends up happening. So with the throwing motion, if you think about it, if you actually just went and threw, as you step, this arm's going back, so we create this width right here in this pec, and then it gets set. So remember though, we're not just necessarily throwing down, and I think that's maybe where people get in trouble, is they're trying to throw just down. Well, it's not just a downward motion. Thanks. If I just go down and there's nothing else, I say, okay, all I'm gonna use is my arms. Well, I'm gonna get up to the top here, and I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna stick the club right in the ground because nothing's moving, but that's
about a down force. Yeah.
It's all down, yeah. So, and obviously it sits on an angle, so there's some, I don't want to get into the minutia, but really what we want to do, it's more of a throwing motion or tossing motion forward.
Okay, so if I stood over here.
Okay, so now here's a perfect example. So if you spin out and you get a lot of motion left, we saw that a lot early on in the golf school. Yeah. And so one of the things we do is if we're going to toss the ball over to Brendan, I'm not going to just try to do this. You know, I'm not going just here. The intent is to go right in that direction. It's a curvilinear motion, which means it's a combination of it's curving, but also there's a linear aspect to it, and that gives us our forward motion.
So what is the element of width to speed? It's just,
well,
there's a point of diminishing return.
There's a point of diminishing return. So obviously this is not maximum speed. This is not maximum speed. We need this, the shorter the moment arm, and it's a balance between mass and velocity of moment arm, and we want to kind of maximize that. Because if I go here, now it takes too much work for my body to move this club. Well, by shortening the moment arm, now I can move it faster. If I bring it in too close, now I'm not contracting this muscle at all, and it slows down. So everyone kind of needs to find their own, but I think a good general rule of thumb is, you know, this arm is on about a 30-degree angle, 40-degree angle. You know, we're looking almost kind of like an open box. I know a lot of people talk about that. It's just 90 degrees. There it is.
One of the Be Better golfers sent me a video talking about, you hear a lot about like through the ball, getting like lower body pressure through the ball and seeing what happens in force plates. And he showed us this video, I'll try to cut it in right here, of the golf robot, you know, which has just the kind of iron byron style, has just the swinging arm on 2 tires, and the weight goes from it just looks just like a golfer. It goes from right foot into, well, right tire into left tire like this, and then it kind of rebounds a little bit. You know, it's like, and the engineers certainly didn't put a weight that moved it that way.
No.
And I know in a lot of golf instruction we hear like, you want to feel your weight moving through the shot like that, because that's something we see in video. What can we learn from the golf robot, not only from that free swinging arm, but also from a what we should be feeling in a motor control standpoint from weight through, you know?
Okay, so what it is, there's a counterbalance that we have. So when we walk, if you notice when you walk even, the hips are closed, but this left arm goes forward and it actually opens up to counterbalance. So this way we stay stable. So it's all about base of support. I don't walk like this. At least I don't think I walk like that. No. Yeah, it's counter. So it's that counterbalance. So if I sat in a chair or had no friction or very little friction, as my force is going this way, there's a counter force that's naturally going to happen.
Yeah, if you do this like sitting in an office chair with your feet off the ground, and you go this way, you go that way. We've seen that in hockey slap shot. When they slap down, the foot goes back like this.
Exactly. And it's all about maintaining base of support and counterbalancing the motion. So what we want in the golf swing is that aspect. We don't need to even worry about why the weight goes forward, because, you know, with that robot, it's got that arm, in a sense. Well, you have obviously mass. So now that force is going this way. To balance it, just the physics makes it go that way, and then it rocks back and forth. So what we do want to do in the golf swing is if I go forward hard here, well, it's not moving the golf club at all. So really we're using the lower body to stabilize, to hit off of. So those arms and that club can really go through, and we're using the lower body to stabilize, and then that drive aspect keeps that momentum going forward. Because if we didn't have the hips through impact, if we use our hips early, and now I swing with my arms, what do most people do? They fall backwards, which is the natural physics that we see with that robot.
So the robot is getting 100% of its speed from the upper portion of the robot, the spinning free arm, and it's getting 100% of its stability from the tires, and it's got a very heavy base on the bottom.
And I would say in the golf swing with the human being, we get about 85% of our speed with the arms, and then that 15%, plus and minus everything, is that stability and drive with the lower body in order to keep those joints moving in the right direction.
So the main role of the lower body in the golf swing is to provide a stable platform for the upper body?
Stable platform and help deliver that club into the ball, get the body moving through.
It works more of a flywheel. It'll just stop.
It will just stop, yeah, because again, how am I going to move my joint forward? I'm always going to bottom out there.
But you could have some speed, but then you wouldn't get it into the ball.
Exactly. So that's kind of that linear fashion. And if we just rotate it, if the center of our pelvis, when we're rotating, that left hip goes back, I'm staying centered. So now that swing becomes too circular. And when that happens is the face is open, 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 square at one point, now it's closed. It's just so difficult to time up. By kind of now changing our center more to the front foot, and it makes more of a flywheel type effect, a cam action, now I put that linear aspect, that curvilinear aspect into it, and now I can kind of keep that club straight right to about here. And again, it's still on an inclined plane, so it's straight parallel to our target, but it is up and left as it continues to go, but I'm not swinging left. Now, there is, and we see this in long drive a lot, is kind of a backing up motion. So they'll go forward, and we'll see that center of mass work towards instep of the trail foot, towards the big toe of the lead foot, and then at the same time, what will happen, once it kind of goes there, you'll see them back up on it. And that backup motion is really what happens in that robot in a sense. So that face is a little bit open, and they get that snap. So that face is shutting down. So technically, we could get more club head speed, more toe speed, which then potentially could give us a few yards, yes, by doing that. Now, long drive, you only need 1 out of 6 or what they're doing now, but that's not how we play golf. So are you willing for that one perfect shot out of, let's say we got 14 holes we got to hit driver at, we got maybe 2 in the fairway, the rest are going to be out of play. Well, in long drive, that's fine. Not when we play golf.
I got a letter from a guy in New Mexico, touring pro on like mini tour and stuff. He's been at it for a while, and he said he really made strides when he works on stuff on the range, but then on the course, he was telling me you really need to completely occupy your mind with the shot shape and the target, like totally. And I know that a lot of people on the channel said, hey Brendan, you're thinking so much, why don't you just go out and just like have a clean slate and a blank mind. Well, I know that thinking way too much will destroy my swing, but I also know that having a totally blank mind, the ball can go anywhere.
Right.
So there seems a balance. So when we're actually on the golf course and in that moment of the actual swing, what are the best players in the world, like what's in their mind? What are they thinking of?
When I was working with Paul Azinger and Steve Rintoul back in the day down in Florida, you know, Paul's goal was to take 6 or 7 swing thoughts and get it down to 2.
Okay.
So that's where you can't go to 0 because anything can happen. Your mind has to tell your body what to do, and we want to kind of get that organized ahead of time, and that's going to be what is called our mental model.
It's interesting because you always hear on TV analysis and stuff, they're like, oh, they're not thinking swing thoughts, they're just playing golf. They're just playing golf.
No.
Okay.
No, you have to give yourself a direction.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like if the GPS in our car, you know, this weekend has been, okay, telling us where to go. If we don't have a clear direction on what we want to do, we'll never end up at our destination or where we want to go in our destination. We're just guessing. And that's the reason why you can't go blank. The mind has to tell our body what to do. It's a program. Now we don't want to overburden it with a lot of swing thoughts. We don't need all that code running. We just need a few keys. And that was one of the good things we had with our session on Friday. We worked hard on mechanics. And then you said, okay, what do I need to do to take it to the golf course? That's really what I see the tour players doing. It could be a trigger. I've had people, senior tour player I used to work with, felt the trigger right here.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking right hand and everything else and right arm, and he found it right here. I said, great. Now, what did you find it with the other day? Because you hit the ball really well on the golf course the other day.
Yeah, I was just really concentrating on hitting what felt to me like a low to high push draw. So my body was going low to high, and I in my brain was thinking, draw it.
There we go.
Yeah.
So we took a lot of mechanics and boiled it down into that simple motion.
So just to go back to what you and Paul were working on, if there was a microphone inside his head at that point, which was like maybe sometime around his comeback win.
Right after cancer.
Right after cancer. So like, hit a shot and let us have like a microphone inside his head with what he might be thinking.
Now, first of all, Azinger's a phenomenal golfer. His brother had a better golf swing. I remember playing with him one time, and I hit and it was a short hole, so we really didn't need driver, so it was like a 3-wood we hit. And I kind of popped it up a little bit. And he turned around and looked at him, he goes, and actually I can't say, because I don't think cussing's allowed in it, why didn't you take the head cover off the driver, or off the 3-wood?
And you would hit it good.
And I hit it halfway decent, a little high in the face, and it's kind of, he goes, take the head cover off next time. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the type of guy, I mean, he was so good mentally, and that's what made him a great champion. Now, let's kind of go over Paul's grip, because that was a key point. Now, and that's one of the things he goes, we're not changing my grip. I said, no, sir, we're not changing that.
Because you probably walked into a lot of golf lessons, the first thing they looked at.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, obviously, I don't even know if I could physically do what he did, but it was so strong, obviously. So for him, a lot of his feeling is kind of, now that I kind of think about it, is what we just did. It was always through impact. It was mostly through impact. So his big thing was knuckles to the sky.
Yeah, I heard that on his special on TV.
And that's what he was at. And even though I was trying to work him more this way, he felt more this way. But when you put the two together, there's a coordination. You know, because of this strong grip.
So down and forward with knuckles to the sky.
Knuckles to the sky, and now where's the face?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
This microphone in his head, what might he be thinking through a shot, do you think?
it was all about creating the shot. Let's say we wanted to go ahead and for him, you know, we're gonna hit this little baby cut. It was more of getting in there, picking out the target, where we wanted it to go. There was a feeling, and actually we worked some stuff on alignment, and this was really cool. We actually picked out 2 targets. Yeah. Our target line, we would sidestep and then pick out our body line. Okay, so now when I do that, there's a little pine tree out there. So I'm walking down my body line, and we never wanted the ball to like really get away from us, so that way it stayed in, okay? And so then as he is, and he's getting ready, there's the knuckles to the sky feeling. Yeah. And so then when he made his swing, knuckles to the sky, boom, just compress the heck out of it.
So really the only 2 things was like great alignment and then through with knuckles to the sky.
Yeah, so that was...
He might just be thinking that feel.
Correct.
As he's actually hitting the shot.
When he's playing well. Yeah. You know, then you get into all sorts of stuff, 6, 7 thoughts and everything else. So that was really the tough part and I know Steve was struggling a little bit because I moved up from Florida. They were rebuilding the range. I took a job up in New York, and we kind of had some separation. And all of a sudden, there was so much information going through Steve Rentul's head, it was confusing. Yeah. And he even got confused with it because he heard what I was saying and what was kind of working. We went out and shot 63 one round down at Michelob, which was down in Virginia, and somebody else is telling him something totally different. So when you run into confusion, it's over with.
Thanks for watching. I am really excited to announce our Be Better Golf Power School coming up in Orlando, Florida on March 17th and 18th. Not only am I excited because it's our first ever school in Florida, I'm particularly excited because of the venue. We're having it at the Mike Bender Golf Academy, just north of Orlando, which the facility is amazing. In my opinion, it's the best place to get better at golf in the entire world. This place was made famous when Zach Johnson, before he won the Masters, they built out a wedge range and these plane boards, and they practiced the different wedge distances here. And Zach famously won the Masters with laying up on every single par 5 without ever going for a par 5 and 2. The Mike Bender Golf Academy is hosting us. Tony Luczak will be there, I'll be there, and Mike Bender will also be there giving a presentation on one of the days talking about working with tour players and also in his experience, as he's one of the top 10 instructors in the world, and in his experience talking about how to be better at golf. The Be Better golfer is usually the person who's been at it for a while and really breaking plateaus and becoming much better than you ever thought you could be. And at these Be Better golf schools, we just see amazing things, golfers doing amazing things, gaining a lot more speed and just having many less thoughts, just being able to go play. I've seen a huge difference in my game, and I've seen a really big difference at these schools in the Be Better golfers that have come out. And also, just the facility itself is so cool. Mike is very, very big into training aids, and some of the training aids that he's built out there, in particular this thing called the MEGSA unit, he's got like 4 or 5 of them, which is like, it's hard to describe, but it's almost like a training aid that looks like a golf jungle gym that you stand inside of. I'll try to put a picture up of it. And really helps you get over certain body positions that you just seem like you're just stuck with. And also has a putting studio and fitness area, and the famous wedge range, and an awesome driving range. So we're going to be there for 2 days on March 17th and 18th. I already sent out an email about it, and I've already booked a few spots for Be Better golfers before I even put up this video. So spots will fill up very quickly. It's going to be a very small school. Like I said, Tony Luczak will be there from reactionarygolf.com, teaching a lot of the stuff that you guys have seen in the channel and really getting your thought process more streamlined, because the more automatic you can become and the more clear about what you're trying to do is, the faster you can move and the easier it is to hit straight shots. So really look forward to seeing you guys there. It's coming up soon. Send me an email at contactbebettergolf@gmail.com. Go check out the website for some more information at bebettergolf.net/school. Really appreciate you watching. See you later.